Hi everyone, welcome back to Job One for All. In this video, we are going to talk about unit testing. For that, we are going to use JUnit. So basically, unit testing is a way for you to make sure that the code that you are developing is still doing the same thing, still have the same behavior, even though someone else or even you made some changes. So there are different kinds of testing. For example, we have integration testing, component testing, we have test-driven development, we have behavior-driven development. There are tons of testing approaches. The unit testing is the most basic one. Basically, it's going to test a unit of your code, a method, and is going to assure that whatever you wrote is still having the same behavior even though you made some changes. Because it's easy when you are just developing and you are doing some changes. Sometimes you remember what you did and how it should behave. But if you look at someone else's code or a code you wrote 6 to 1 year ago, it's quite difficult to understand, for example, how it is supposed to behave. So what you have to do is kind of go through everything and trying to understand. And if you make some changes, sometimes the system is so big, it's impossible for you to know everything that will be affected. And that's why JUnit is still extremely important, because it will make your life easier when testing, and it will make sure that at least you have some assurance that nothing is going to break in production. So let's start with basically what we have been doing so far, and let's understand how unit testing can fit into software development. And I would say it's extremely important for you to learn this concept, because at least when I'm recruiting people, if I don't get unit testing from their code, I immediately reject. Especially if I'm talking about media or senior developers, it's unacceptable for them to not write tests for their code. So make sure that you get this concept right from the beginning, because it's not honestly really cool. I don't think there are a lot of developers that like testing, but it's something that it must be done. Let's create then a package zzk junit and then domain. Let's create just one class inside the domain, and let's call this class person, and let's have one attribute called age. And let's create it here with lombok at data, so it will create get set to string and equals and hash code, and then all args constructor. So basically we have a constructor with all the attributes we have inside the person. And then let's create a service class. Actually, let's start with a service package. And then let's create here a service class called person service. And let's say that we only have one method for now. This method is going to check if someone is adult or not, basically public, and it's going to return true or false. Boolean is adult. And we are going to ask for a person. The package is zzk person. Cool. So the first thing, we want to make sure that the object is not null. Objects dot require null person, and then the message if it's null, person can't be null. Okay, and then we are going to return when the person will be adult if it's greater or equals than 18. So basically, if person.getAge is greater or equals 18. Cool. What have we been doing so far? We were creating a package called test, and then we came here, we create person service test 01, and then we are creating the main method, and then we create a person. Be careful with the package. New person, let's say 15 years old, and then person service, new person service. We would use south, but we know how to work with logs now, so log for j2, and then we add here log.info is adult, and basically we just change here by calling person service dot is adult, passing the person. And then we will test Control Shift F10. And we can see that it's false. But look, this has one problem. Right now we are saying, okay, is adult is when someone is older or equals 18 years old. Now, if for some reason someone take a look here and say, wow, but a person should not be 18 years old to be adult, should be 21 years old. And they change here, and then you execute the code again, you are going to get the same false. So basically, for you, nothing happened. But imagine if we have someone else or another part of the system expecting the age to be 18 years old. So let's keep 18, and now let's think about how we can solve this problem. How can we assert? And when I say assert, we are saying, okay, this should be exactly like this. If it's not like this, it should fail. So basically, if someone has a age of 18 years old, they should be adult. Now we have to assert that, and there is a library that I already told you the name, JUnit, that basically has several kinds of assertions that will make our life when writing unit tests easier. So the first thing is we need to get that library, that dependency, because now since we're using Maven, it's pretty straightforward. Just go to your browser and type JUnit Maven. Usually is the first option, but the latest version is JUnit Jupyter. You can either download the milestone M1, but milestones usually is still in development. Sometimes there are some bugs, so I will get the latest stable. And then you just click, go back to your project, go to your Palm, and you see here inside the dependencies, just at the bottom, and then you add another dependency. So it should look like this. See, dependency, 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 and then you import right here. If you go to your external libraries, you should see JUnit available here. Okay, so now that we have the JUnit, we need to create the class that we are going to test. I don't know if you noticed, but we do have here a folder. This should not be there. Yours should be like this. See, test, and then you have the Java here. So basically, it looks like this. You have main Java, that's where you have your regular code, and then you have the test Java, it's where you're going to put all your code. Now, usually you have exactly the same package that you have inside src main Java inside your test. Well, but that's pretty painful to write, so we're going to use a shortcut here. And you can write, select, just put the cursor over person service, Alt, Enter, and then create test. So you have some testing libraries. In this case, we are using JUnit 5. The class name is usually the name of the class followed by test. The package is exactly the same as the original class. And then you have some methods here, and usually it will ask you if you want to already create the method that you have available in your original class inside your test class. So I will just select this method and I will press OK. So if you go back here now, you will see that we have exactly the same package, but now this package is inside the test folder, and then person service here, and then person service test here. Okay, so this is our first test class, and this test class is for the person service. The person service only has is adult, so the unit that we are testing is adult, but it doesn't mean that it will be only one test. And we have two other classes, and that is something that we call test coverage. What does it mean? Basically, when you are writing tests, you are writing tests for your code. So test coverage means that your test, the test that you are writing, they are at least passing through the code that you have. We are going to see that later, but for some companies, test coverage is one of the most important factors. For me personally, I think the functionality and the edge cases is what should be the most important scenario. Because, for example, for test coverage, we would need to write tests for the get age, for the set age, even for example, for toString and so on. But is that something that really matters? Well, depends from company to company. But I would say it's pretty straightforward if you have to write tests for that. But for us here, we are just going to write the tests for the business logic. Okay, so we have our method, and basically, what do we expect? So now it comes the part where we are actually testing. So what we are expecting? We're expecting when we create a person service and we pass a person that is of age 15, it should return false, the is adult. So this is what we're going to test. We need a person, the package is zzk, the package from here, person, new person, passing the age 15. And then we create a person service, and then new person service. And now it comes the assertion. So the assertion, we have different types of assertions. For example, you could assert that two collections are the same, or the size of the collections are the same, but it depends on what you are going to test. In this case, specifically, we have two options. Inside of the package JUnit, we have this assertions class, and when you type dot and then assert, as you can see, we have several types of assertions. Let's start with assertions.assert equals. So what do we expect? You see that's overloaded. So basically, what I'm expecting false. And what should return false? Person service dot is adult, passing this person. So this is one option, and the other option is using, let me duplicate this, is using assert false. So basically it's just saving time. Assert false, and then this should return false. So we have two options. So we can use the one that is not giving us a warning. So I'm expecting this to be false. So Control Shift F10. And as we can see, it passed. So it means that the code is actually returning false when it should be returning false. But as you can see, the name is not very intuitive. Java has a lot of conventions, but specifically for tests, the conventions are not that strong, because if you search online, you will see 7 conventions to write your unit test. If you have 7 conventions, you don't have any convention, honestly. So the way I honestly prefer is having, and I think consistency is the key here, write the test exactly the same way everywhere. So basically what I usually do is the name of the method that you are testing, and then what it should do, in this case should return false, and then when it should do, when age is lower than 18. So now if you execute, you will get a little bit more information. So is adult should return false when age is lower than 18. If you are still not happy, you could use another annotation here from JUnit called @displayName, and then you could give like a better name here. For example, method is, or a person should not be adult if younger than 18. Now, if you execute again, Control Shift F10, you will notice that the message that we have here is exactly what we have in the display name. So this video is getting too long. Let's continue with more JUnit in the next one. So I hope you enjoyed. See you in the next video. Bye bye.